Last time we talked about why I thought Austin Dillon, or at least made the case why he could make the NASCAR playoffs. This time, we're going to make a case for Chase, but it's going to be Chase Briscoe of the number 14 Ford. Let's talk about it here on Stuck in the Catch Fence. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back, Stuck in the Catch Fence community. I am glad to be with you to continue this series. Again, we talked about Austin Dillon the last time. Well, I tried to make the case on why I thought he could make the NASCAR playoffs. This time, we're going to talk about somebody I had really high hopes for last year in Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, on my bold predictions, was actually one of the drivers I thought could make the Final Four. He made a huge leap from the previous year where he won Rookie of the Year in NASCAR to making it to the round of 8, but all of that spiraled out of control last year, as so did Stewart Haas Racing. So we'll dive into it, and I'm going to try to present to you why I think Chase Briscoe has an opportunity to make the NASCAR playoffs. And if there's somebody that you would like me to talk about who you think would make the NASCAR playoffs that did not last year, or vice versa, somebody you think in the playoffs that won't make it this year, let me know in the comments below. And, we're getting ready. The Busch Clash will be here before you know it. So the case for Chase Briscoe, well, it goes back to what happened last year. Well, last year really was just like just everything went wrong in terms of what happened on the track for Chase Briscoe. It's really hard to put a finger on it because it really starts with the team. What happened to Stewart Haas Racing? Why are they no longer competitive the way they were before? It did not seem like a championship caliber organization. And if you've listened to Tony Stewart and what they've tried to portray, at least in the preseason, they too recognize that they were not up to snuff. So let's go ahead and look at the season that Chase Briscoe had last year. So a driver rank of 30th, we'll get into that. Less top 10s than the year before, less top 5s, the same amount of poles, 2 DNFs, and no wins, while also leading about 100 less laps than a year before. But the average start and the average finish is what really did it in, plus a few other factors for Chase Briscoe. The year before in 2022, Chase Briscoe average starting position was 13th. Chase Briscoe was tremendous in qualifying, and for whatever reason, that Ford team could not get off the truck very, very well at all. And then problems consisted throughout. I mean, there was a lot of races last year that Chase Briscoe would be lapped before stage one ended. And it just kind of blew your mind because you're like, okay, he's decent in practice, not like super duper fast, but he was solid. And then they would just miss the mark when it came to practice. And then things would precipitate and get worse. It's almost like they were behind the eight ball every single race trying to get started. And then it got way, way worse whenever they received a penalty from NASCAR. That's what brought that total all the way down to 30th, because typically when you have an average finishing position of 20th, you don't end up finishing 30th in the points. And the crazy thing about that is the race that they end up getting a penalty for having a fabricated part, not a one source part, but an intentional misused part that they themselves said, yeah, we screwed up, dropped him really, really far down in the driver rankings, one of the biggest penalties of all time. And that pretty much put a bow on top for what was a terrible third year for Chase Briscoe. So, looking at what is new and what we could look at before, well, before we get to even that, Chase Briscoe did have some bright spots. He had top tens at, well, the track that he won at the year before in Phoenix. He got two top tens actually at Phoenix. So a track that he does really, really well at. Another tracks that you'll see a theme on is really the 1 mile and unders. Chase Briscoe had top tens at Martinsville both times. He had a top 10 in Bristol Dirt, which he should have won the year before, but ended up wrecking Tyler Reddick on the last lap trying to send it, and Kyle Busch ended up winning that race. But other short tracks too, 1 mile and under, they did show consistent speed. And I don't think that should change too much this year. The thing that is really going into the favor for Chase Briscoe and Stuart Haas Racing, I think really is just a focus by the team. And you may say that that's, silly and that's just all hearsay. When their stock is down, of course they got to say something to the believers. I think it rings true. I really do think that the focus by Stuart Haas, Tony Stewart, to say, hey, we're going to take the reins and we're going to turn this organization around, I think remains true. Look at all the other competitors inside of Stuart Haas. You got Ryan Preece, who hasn't won. You have Josh Berry, who hasn't won. And you have Noah Gragson, who had one of the worst rookie campaigns you could ever imagine, not only performance wise, but PR wise as well. Chase Briscoe is the leader in that facility. It is no longer Kevin Harvick and is not the elder statesman that has been replaced, Eric Almirola. It is Chase Briscoe. He is the lead dog and should get the best equipment and the most focus because he has shown that he has talent. He has won 11 times in the Xfinity Series. He has won in the Cup Series. In his second year, again, he made the round of 8. It's not a question if Chase Briscoe has talent. It's really a question is, does Stuart Haas have the same focus that they have before? And sometimes you need to wake a sleeping giant. And maybe that's what happened when it came to the press and everybody piling on top, me included, for Stuart Haas. Sometimes that's exactly what you need is somebody to doubt you. Tony Stewart, somebody from Indiana, just like Chase Briscoe, doesn't like to be doubted. He doesn't like to think of himself as an underdog. And when he is an underdog, he tries to prove that he's an alpha, not an underdog. So moving into this season, I think a new focus, a new look at things will help. And that's a big thing. Does your club have the opportunity to win races? We've seen Stewart has before. They may be in a 2 to 3 year draw, but I think that same focus can still happen. The biggest one, does your driver have talent? I think Chase Briscoe is a talented driver. I would have not picked him for the Final Four last year as my wild card if I didn't think Chase Briscoe has talent. The guy can run on dirt not outside of the NASCAR circuit and does well on short tracks inside the NASCAR circuit. So does he have talent? Yes, that's a check mark. And number 3, which may be the biggest thing overall, is they're getting a new Mustang. Will the new Mustang put Ford in a position to be advantageous compared to the competitors? Will it help them with this next gen car be better than even Chevy is right now? There's not a lot of huge, competition when it comes to Ford. Yeah, Penske's good, and they got the last 2 championships. But if you look, really, it's just been one driver did really good one year, Joey Logano. Then one driver did really good the next year. Got hot at the right time, is Ryan Blaney. But Austin Cindric wasn't very good last year. Then you look at RFK, they've all improved. They've improved more than anybody. So it shows that you can improve. But I think what really needs to happen is Chase Briscoe needs to take control and take the reins. And I think the biggest thing on top of him doing that is having the support of Tony Stewart. And I think that's there. I think Chase Briscoe definitely has an opportunity. To me, out of all the 4 drivers that didn't make the playoffs last year, I think that he has the best chance to make the playoffs compared to even a Brad Keselowski. You may say that's crazy, but I just really do believe in the talent that is Chase Briscoe. Making the case for Austin Dillon the last time, a little bit more difficult compared to making the case for Chase Briscoe. I think Chase Briscoe is more talented than Austin Dillon. I don't know if he's in as good of equipment, but the car is really going to answer those questions soon. I think the best thing that could happen for Stuart Haas is kind of like the thing that happened last year for RCR is getting a good start. The Coliseum, while it means nothing, they need something positive to grasp and hold on to. And I think that opportunity lies in the Coliseum. A race that traditionally has shown us not a whole lot of what you can expect from results in the entire year. But when you need something positive to go your way, if Chase Briscoe, who's good on short tracks, has a really, really good race and the rest of Stewart Haas has a good showing, I think that really could be the positive momentum that they need. I think that that could set them up to then go to Daytona and work with all the other fast Fords, which we know the Fords are really fast at super speedways, and show that they could be really, really good this year. And remember, it'll be much harder for me to make the case for the rest of Stewart Haas. But I kind of alienate Chase Briscoe away from that because Chase Briscoe has proven himself in the highest series. And I don't think that that was a flash in the pan, what we saw just 2 years ago. I do believe that that really is a talented driver behind the number 14. And I think Tony Stewart's going to back it up as well. So that's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed this making the case for Chase. If you want to catch us and know where to find us, it's all right here on screen. We're on Facebook. Let me get this out of the way for you so you can see. Maybe. There we go. Facebook. We're on Patreon if you ever feel the need to go that way, and Rumble if you want to have an alternative to YouTube as well. So that is going to do it for me. Hopefully, you guys are ready for the NASCAR season. I cannot wait. I'm waiting to see where my tickets are for Kansas, WWT. Got other things that I'm exploring as well. Probably going to live stream the Clash because I just absolutely can't wait. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. And I'll make the case probably for one of the most hated drivers next time. So, you'll have to tune in. My name is Ryan Peters. It's been Stuck in the Catch Fence. I'll see you next time.